Morning, all, and we are going to start the day with the offseason outlook for the Dallas Stars. So, Dallas, who are coming off of what's been a very good season at the pause, but there are some troubling trends that continue, and it does kind of feel like you're beating a dead horse at this point, but it is what it is. The Dallas Stars need to figure out a way to score more goals and to get more points from their stars. And this has been their problem for the last couple of years. And it just feels like it's kind of getting worse. So you have Rope Hintz coming out and emerging as a top six forward. Legit scoring threat. You have Gurianov breaking through, gets 20 goals this year, and was on pace for probably about 25. And very good first season for him. And here you go, right? That's two scoring forwards. The problem is, of course, that Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin both fell back. Seguin with 50 points in, I think it was 69 games at the time of the break. And again, you want more than that out of Seguin. And there was talk about whether this was the defensive structure they're being asked to play that's causing them not to be able to score goals, or whether it was something else to do with the players. Regardless of what it is, they need to find more goals. Now, when you look at their unrestricted and restricted free agents, it's an interesting group. On the unrestricted side, you've got Janmark, who's had an okay season, but offensively, I've always kind of felt like there's more there than what we've seen, but we may be at the point where Dallas could be better off looking in another direction, and Janmark could end up going to free agency. Corey Perry, it's not been a good fit with Dallas. I think the effort is there. I will say Corey Perry's effort's definitely been there, but the scoring is gone, as you know, one may have expected, and I would not be surprised to see him move on from Dallas once this season's officially done. Roman Pollock, again, he's a number 6, number 7 defenseman. It's not going to cost you a lot of money to keep him if you want to. If he wants to stick around, they can make it work. Andre Saqqara, that's where things might get a little bit pricier. But at the same time, it's, you know, Saqqara could very well end up being a defenseman they can keep around for less money. But Dallas may want to hand the reins over to more of its young players as well. Anton Hudobin in net, very, very interested to see what they do with him. Anton Hudobin, it has been great. He really has. There have been times where he's looked better than Ben Bishop. But that being said, at this stage of the game, he is, you know, in his mid-30s. And odds are you want to move on if you're Dallas, if you feel like your young goaltender might be ready. And he's looked pretty ready. So we'll see if Dallas does move on from Hudobin or if they offer him a 1 or 2 year extension to stick around. Doesn't bother me either way. They could go either way with it. Restricted free agents. Radek Faksa, who has arbitration rights. And Faksa is one of the most complete two-way forwards that I've seen employed by the Dallas Stars in a long time. And when we look at the Dallas Stars of the late 90s, early 2000s, they were known for being filled with guys that had a great two-way game and could play fantastic defense and burn you with the odd goal here and there. So it's nice to see a throwback in Faksa. And we'll see how much that's worth and for how long. I think a 4-year extension's in order. Gurianov, this is where you don't want to overreact. Gurianov had a very solid 20-goal season. Yes, only the 9 helpers, 29 points overall. And I'd like to see it on more than one occasion. I'm hoping they have a decent bridge contract, you know, a 2-year contract with him. And then if he does it a couple more years, then you pay him. But I want to see more from him than just the 1 year. And of course, Rope Hintz is RFA. And again, he's justified a decent, you know, 4-year extension. But how much they pay him, it's going to be interesting. Now, also on the interesting side, well, we could talk about Pavelski being $7 million till 2022 and how that's probably the worst contract on the team. And I debated about that one on Jamie Benn. But I went with Pavelski because Pavelski's takes him until, you know, later on, till he's 37, then Benn's, which expires when he's 35. And I think if they wanted to move Benn's contract, they could probably find a taker. Pavelski, I'm not as sure about. Best contract, I had to go with Klingberg at $4.25 million for 2 more years. It's a team not riddled with really bad contracts, but the interesting thing is that while Benn makes 9.5, and you got Pavelski at 7, and there's a lot of guys making money. The team's cap hit next year, according to Cap Friendly, is only $62 million. So they do have more cap space than a lot of other teams around them. And we'll see what they do with that and how much of that gets eaten up by Faksa, Gurianov, and Hintz. Or FGH. I'm not sure if they planned it that way or what it is. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess there's no player with the last name starting with I that could be up at the same time. So, really, they're not a team in cap trouble. There are a couple of contracts you would probably want to get rid of if you had the chance. But they're not really in cap trouble. So, if they did end up doing some kind of compliance buyouts, yeah, there's a couple guys Dallas might want to move on from, but they're not in any real trouble anyways. Now, rookie watch for Dallas, it's an interesting bunch. And there isn't really anybody in Dallas that I look at and see as like a question mark. There isn't really anybody in Dallas like Nichushkin was for that last year, where Nichushkin just didn't work. It didn't work for Dallas. And I'm happy that Nichushkin's done well in Colorado. I am. But it just didn't work in Dallas. So, rookie watch, Ty Dellandrea. The team needs somebody that can score. Is Dellandrea going to come up and be that guy? Probably not as a rookie. And I do wonder where the goals are going to come from. And we'll come back to that. Jake Ottinger. So if they decide that Ottinger is ready, likely that they let Hudobin go and spend that money elsewhere. Ottinger's numbers for Texas, pretty good. And definitely warrant at least a look, I would think, next season. And if they decide Ottinger's not ready and they don't want to pay Hudobin as much as Hudobin wants, they can probably find somebody on the market. But I would think either you bring Hudobin back or Ottinger's the backup. I think those are your two most likely options if you're Dallas. Jason Robertson looked decent in a call-up, so I would think he'll get some games next year. And this is why when you look at Janmark, you go, yeah, they could probably move on from Janmark because there's other guys who can take his place. Joel Kiviranta. Kiviranta looked pretty good in a call-up as well. Rhett Gardner may very well get a good look next year. Nicholas Camano. Camano, I was actually kind of impressed with Camano this season when he was called up. And again, part of the reason why I think that with Dallas, I get impressed with a lot of their call-ups is that they're one of these teams that seems to have the same setup in the AHL as they do in the NHL. It's the same system. They're teaching you how to become a Dallas Star. And so when they come up, they don't stand out for rookie mistakes. They don't stand out for not being very good at it. A good example would be like on the defense last year when they had like Gavin Bayreuther being called up. I thought he looked good. I was like, that's, not bad to have him called up. Taylor Fadoon, of course. His career kind of resurrected as a member of the Dallas Stars. And I think it's the system that they coach, but there's drawbacks with that as well. And again, I'll come back to that. Thomas Harley, they may give a shot next year at a regular spot. And this is where the blue line may get crowded for a guy like Pollock or Saqqara if they wanted to stick around in Dallas. Because there may very well be guys on that blue line who can come in and produce and play well in that top six. So we'll see if they give Harley that chance. He's one of their top-rated prospects, so we'll see where that turns out. And, of course, you've got other wild cards in there as well, but those are the main guys. It's a good young group for Dallas. I do wonder about top-end talent to replace a guy like Benn or, to complement the scoring. And, again, that's where Hintz needs to take that next level. Gurianov needs to show that there's still room for further growth. And if Faksa could show a little bit more scoring, that'd be better too. But scoring's been the issue with Dallas. 37, 24, and 8 at the time of the break, 82 points. Goals for, 28th in the NHL, goals against second. Last season, they were 43, 32, and 7, 93 points. Goals for, they were 29th. Goals against, they were second. And of course, they went out in round 2 against Dallas because they couldn't score. Jamie Benn stood out as one that, he had his chance. 42, 32, and 8 the year before, 92 points. Goals for, 18th. Goals against, 7th. So the team they had 2 years ago, this goal scoring was a little bit better, but still 18th out of 30 teams is not going to get you very far. Goals against has got better. They're up to second, But the reality is this team needs to figure out a way to get more goals. And in the offseason, I'm not sure how you do that. Rick Bowness, I think, did a good job behind the bench. I don't know that Rick Bowness is the guy that can get more goals out of the team. It does look like a systematic issue where you have a team that has so many star players and they're so conscious of what they're doing in the ice defensively that it hurts their offense. So when I look at Sagan, I look at Benn, and I look at a lot of these guys, and I get frustrated with the offense. I really think it is. And they hinted at it this season as well, that they're being asked to play that defense so much that it is very likely hurting them otherwise. This is a team that was 13 games above 500 at the pause, and they looked good at times this year, and they looked lost at other times. They got off to an absolutely miserable start, of course. And they went through the turmoil with their coach being fired and all of the off-ice stuff as well, and yet they come out with a pretty decent record at the end of it. But I do wonder, like, the real Dallas Stars, is the offense going to be there? Because Dallas fans point out, whenever I talk about this, hey, during this stretch of games, they played really well and they scored goals. During that stretch game, it's a matter of having it consistently. And I haven't seen it. And that lack of being able to finish is why St. Louis knocks them out last year. If Dallas had knocked out St. Louis, they could have won the Stanley Cup. Absolutely. The defense is that good. But when you're not able to get that goal you need, whether it's in overtime, whether it's that insurance goal, whether it's a comeback goal, you're not going to be able to get over that hump. And so for Dallas, it's a matter of trying to improve this without hurting this. And that's the ultimate trick. Or maybe give up a little bit more goals in exchange for getting a bunch more goals on their side of the ledger. I'm not sure how Jim Nill fixes this. There are times where Jim Nill gets praise that I think is a little bit much. There are times where he takes a lot of blame that I don't think is necessarily his either. I'm on the fence. I think Nill's been okay as a general manager. I think he's done some smart things. I think he's done some questionable things. And at the end of the day, this is still a team looking for more goals. Where do they find them? Dallas fans, tell me, where do you find more goals? Remember, Gurianov can't be the answer to that because with his 20 goals, they went from 29th in the NHL to 28th in scoring because their star players had that setback. And, of course, Radulov had kind of a miserable season as well. But when you have Radulov, Benn, and Sagan all being down offensively, that tells me there's something else going on. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Remember, stay home as often as you can and as much as you can during this time. Do stay safe and keep your hands nice and clean. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.